this is a wrap-up after my presentation today to the Urban Land Institute and NAIOP groups. Of course, it was over Zoom in this day and age, but we had a great group and some good questions I didn't anticipate, and I have a couple takeaways I thought you might be interested in. So I termed the discussion, are we at the light at the end of the tunnel? And hopefully we can just barely start to see the light at the end of that tunnel. And we got talking about timing and how to time the marketplace. So if we're coming to a place where people are more comfortable in the next 9, 12, 24 months, then when is a good time to get into the market? Probably right before that happens. So the less unknowns, the more people get comfortable, they come back into the market. But if you can just be a little bit ahead of that on timing, it has shown over time to make good investments. You know, the stock market is up, and it's up a lot. So that's giving people a lot of confidence, which is different than the last recession that we had back in 2008. The other thing that's different is there is tons of capital out there. People are not as debt laden, and there's a lot of capital ready to rescue when the time is right, if it needs to be. At the time being, the banks and the lenders are working with the lenders very much so. So we need to adopt new habits, and I think we've all adopted very quickly. So look at our work environments, how we're using Zoom. We're spending more money at the grocery store in less time. We have different patterns during the day on how we get to work and what we do after work. We're spending less money out of the house. Another key technique that we're seeing during this part of the pandemic is shorter term leases. So people that have leases that roll are signing up for less term, and in some cases the rent is equating to percentage rent, particularly in retail and most likely in restaurants. So we're seeing that. It's not ideal for owners in the long run, but that's a way to get through and bridge the times. Reserves, that may be the biggest lesson that we've learned, is investors had a lot more reserves than we thought, whether it was having the lender require reserves, or some owners have just said, we've done so well the past 5 years, we just put the money away. And maybe now the new norm going into this might be to have 20% of a year in reserves and cash just sitting there year in, year out, and not be tempted to deplete those. The CARES Act depreciation. So as you may know, we can now look back over the past 5 years from 2020 going backwards and go back and reopen those tax returns and use that depreciation and possibly accelerate it. So that's going to be an important technique, and we're really seeing people work on that towards the end of 2020 here. Hopefully, Hawaii is going to weather this winter well and is going to be a safe haven. Right now things are unstable across the mainland. They're pretty good here. Most of the state is open. So I see numbers of people, dozens and hundreds, coming here for extended vacations where they can get away. They have the financial freedom. Their families can do school or what they need to do from far away. So those are a couple of the interesting points I found this morning. It was a real pleasure to speak to just over 200 people. Got a lot of good questions, a lot of good feedback. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see the full replay, just let us know. We'll have it available. Thanks, and aloha.